So I just got delivery of all of my seeds that I ordered from Rise Garden, and I wanted to just go through them with you guys and show you my seed haul and show you what I will be growing this year. And I got my new hat on, which link in the description to my Etsy shop if you like these hats. There's so much in here, and I just wanted to show you guys everything that I got. Mostly seeds, though. The first thing I will show you, I didn't have this, and any of you guys, if you've got the new Rise Garden, this will not be exciting for you, but is exciting for me because I've had my Rise Garden for a very, very long time, and I only had the old Nursery. And this is honestly one of the reasons that I love Rise Garden, because they're always iterating and changing. So this was the Nursery that I had. I have often called it the roast chicken container, and it had a section in there, if you can see that, where you could put all of the plants. But this thing's really big and it took up a lot of space. I don't know. It's also just stylistically not my thing. Now, these new nurseries, I love how slim they are. I love that they can kind of pretty much just sit on the edge where the water container goes. They've got their great little humidity domes, which are very important for helping to get the seeds to germinate. So I am super, super stoked to have 2 of these bad boys. So that is item number 1 from my haul. Next, what else do we have in here? So I got some doubles. I didn't get all different seeds just because I know what I want to grow. And in the past, I have fallen into the trap of growing things because they're cool or fun or something like that, which you still need to do. So don't get me wrong. But I really, really want to focus on growing the food that is going to cut down on my grocery bill. So that's why I narrowed down and focused on certain things. One of that is these Red Baron bunching chives. Now it says chives on here, but when I look at it online, a lot of people seem to call them the Red Baron bunching onions. So I had a feeling that these are going to have a little bit more of a bulb. So the idea was these are going to be some onions, even if they're going to replace this typical green onions. So I ended up getting 3 of those of the Red Baron bunching chives. So we are going to go ahead and get some of those growing. So that gives me 12 of those. And then I'm also hoping that if I don't just yank them out and harvest them, if I'm going to cut them so there's still roots left, they will continue to regrow. So they should last even longer. That's my hope. We'll see how it pans out. Next, I got some peppermint because I just love mint. My grandmother used to grow mint all the time back in England, and she would take it with newly harvested potatoes and put in a handful, like a huge handful of mint, and boil it with the potatoes, and they were mint potatoes. It's just something I absolutely love. And mint, if you don't know, if you plant it outside, is very, very prone to taking over the entire world. I just saw a cute meme and it just reminded me of that. It happened to be around the time I was doing my order, so I'll put that up on the screen. But mint, it is better grown hydroponically where you can control it. Or if you are planting it outside, then please, 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 please put it in a pot, or you could regret this forever. Unless you have a bed that you have a lot of space and you just want copious amounts of mints, then go ahead and plant it in the ground, but I still wouldn't recommend it. Then what does this? Oh yes, Greek oregano. I got some of this to try. Oregano is just a herb I use a lot, so I thought it would be good to have kind of one plant growing all the time. I have both the what I call the high rise and the low rise. My low rise is over there behind the box of seeds. I'm gonna move this out of the way. I just harvested all my microgreens, got a video on that. And I'm growing some lettuce over here right now, which is doing amazing. So that's the low rise. And then I also have the 2-tier family rise garden, which I call the high rise. Not sure where I'm gonna do the herbs. I think I will probably put them in the low rise and just have all the herbs there and then grow a lot of the bigger stuff in the high rise. And then I'll be doing a video coming up just showing exactly how much you can grow in a year. I was just going to take a year to come up with that video, but anyways. And then what else do we have in here? I'm going to pull everything out and put it here and then show them to you guys one at a time. Oh, there's so much good stuff in here. Oh, and I noticed Rise has changed their packaging again. This should be interesting. Okay, so we've done the chives, we've done the peppermint, we've done the oregano. Next, another herb, I have the fern leaf dill. Dill is something I use a lot, whether I'm making tuna fish sandwiches or my salad shrimp that I love. Dill is just, I think, a good herb to have. Oh, or if I'm doing some smoked salmon with dill on. So it's definitely something I use a lot. It's one that can grow very tall, and it definitely, you need to stay on top of it. It can take over. I always seem to have too much dill or not enough dill, so I'm hoping I can find the sweet spot with growing this year. Next, we have some arugula. This is the Astro arugula. I think there's another one that Rise has as well. I love arugula. It's a little bit spicy. I want to add it to my salads. It will pair nicely with the lettuce I have growing right now in the low rise. These are some of those things that cost so much when you get them from the grocery store, but if you can have them, and especially if you succession plant them. So if you know that you use a lot of arugula, then you might want to plant one, wait a week or two, plant another one, wait a week or two, plant another one. That way you have a constant supply of it, and then you can just cycle through and harvest from it. I don't use quite that much, so we'll probably start with 2 for me. And then Rise, these guys are always iterating and changing. They have changed their packaging again. I love on the back, it gives you the information. So it says that this is an intermediate growing one. What else does it say? It sprouts in about 7 days. And it's 105 days to harvest. So that's another thing you want to keep in mind when you're planting your seeds. Certain ones are going to be harvested very quickly, especially if you're doing microgreens. Those are going to be harvested within like 2 weeks, versus something like a tomato or pepper that can keep growing for a very, very long time. I've had tomatoes that have gone on for a long time. Peppers I've had that have gone for over a year. Think about where you're putting them. I tend to put these things more towards the back, as long as you're not crowding it out with big things in the front. But then they're at the back, they can just do their thing and continuously give you food, versus things like a lettuce, which could be a one harvest vegetable. It's going to really depend on how you harvest it. I have these mini Siam tomatoes, and it says they only grow to a height of about 9 inches, which is really cool because then I can be putting this on the top level of the high rise, or I could even be growing it in the low rise because they're going to grow very short. I have another favorite that I get from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds, the orange hat tomato, which I've had in many videos, and it grows to actually a little bit shorter, 5 to 8 inches tall, which are great because they're so tiny and they can give you still quite a lot of tomatoes. Next, we have the Fresh Bite orange pepper. These were a sweet pepper. They are intermediate. It sprouts in 7 days, and you can harvest it within 93 days. So these are just going to be, it says, is a short bell pepper plant and produces a large amount of mini orange peppers. So I just thought this would be good. And each of these, if you didn't know, these small containers has 4 pods in it. With something like a tomato or a pepper, you are going to want to thin them down to 1 plant. Usually these are going to come with more than 1 seed in, just to make sure that they germinate. If I'm using the seedless pods, I always put in 2 seeds for a pepper or tomato. These come with actually a couple more, and you can either leave them all in there and then pick the strongest one of them and then snip off the other ones. It hurts to do it. I know it's so hard to do the thinning, or at least it is for me, but it is so important. I even just learned that with my lettuces that I have over there in the low rise. I haven't tended to thin my lettuce, and I did with these ones because I'm always trying different things. So I thinned them, and honestly these are some of the nicest lettuces I've grown. So I will be thinning from now on. Lesson learned. And they do tell you to thin, but I'm like, oh, is it going to be better if I have more? No, it is not better. So thin your plants. You can either leave all of the seeds in there and thin them to 1 plant when they start to grow and you want to pick the strongest one to keep, or what I'm probably going to do to make the seeds go a little bit further is I will see how many seeds are in each of these pods, and I will probably just leave 2 in here and let those grow, and then save the other seeds and just put them aside to grow probably outdoors or later on using one of the seedless pots. Next, a staple in my house are the jalapeno peppers. These again are an intermediate one. They sprout in 7 days and they can be harvested within 93. And one of the things that can happen on jalapenos, and I know it can freak out some people that are growing for the first time, is they can get like little tan cracks, or it almost looks like a scab on it. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's normal. You're not going to see that as much on jalapenos that you'll get from the grocery store, because things that are in the grocery store, they tend to be like perfect, which if you start growing your own food, you will quickly learn that nothing is perfect. There's very few perfectly round tomatoes or jalapenos that don't have the cracking lines on them. So next I have one of my favorite lettuces. It is the butter crunch lettuce. It's like a head lettuce. It really has a buttery texture to the leaves. If I could only grow one lettuce, it would be Butter Crunch. And this is showing as an easy growing one. It sprouts in 5 days and you can harvest it within 25. So I like that they're calling that out on the new packaging. This is the easy for the lettuce. This is the pepper that's going to be an intermediate. If you're starting out, or if you have convinced yourself that you have a black thumb, which I can guarantee you do not, you may want to start with some of the easier options. Build your confidence, build your skill level with the easy ones, and then go up to some of the intermediate or the harder things to grow, or just throw caution to the wind and grow them all at once. Just don't get discouraged if things don't go exactly to plan. I have been growing for many, many years, both indoor and out, and I still kill things, or like I said, I only just started thinning my lettuces. There's no perfect, there's no right or wrong. Enjoy growing your own food. It's going to taste better, it's going to save you money, and it's just fun. Getting to the end of this little seed haul. So I also picked up some of the lime basil. Again, you can see this is another one of their other styles of boxes, so they've got them much more compact. The newer ones, which I'm loving. These ones sprout in 7 days and you can harvest to about 60 days, and it really does taste like lime. I've done the lime, I've done the lemon before, and I was like, is it gonna taste like it? Maybe a hint. No, these were like, I was actually blown away by how much the lime and the lemon flavor came through in these basil. If you like a regular Genovese basil, then these may not be for you, but if you love basil in general and want to try different varieties and spice up your salad, then one of these could be a great option. Another one that I have are these snackable red peppers. These are again another sweet pepper, very much like the orange ones that I got. I just wanted to have some different colors. This one is going to sprout in 7 days, harvest in 93. This is another thing they call out on these boxes. This is going to need the blossom. So if you weren't aware, Rise has 3 different types of nutrients. They have the thrive, the sprout, and the bloom. And you're going to use them at different points in the growth of the plant. So if you're growing something like the tomatoes and the peppers, which are going to have flowers and bloom before you get your fruit, then you're going to use that bloom nutrient. So if you're just growing lettuces or leafy greens or things that do not fruit and flower, then you are just going to be using the thrive and the sprout nutrients. Last but not least, more microgreens. I grew these for the first time in my low rise recently, and I absolutely loved it. I did an experiment to see which was the best way to grow the microgreens in the rise, and I came to a conclusion, but it was very close with the second place. So I got some more microgreens. Originally I had done the broccoli. This is the lemon basil. So I'm going to test out the first and second place from that trial and do it with these lemon basil microgreens, which honestly I am more excited about than the original broccoli microgreens that I grew. These ones are super quick. They are there as an easy for their rating. They sprout in about 3 days and you can harvest within 17. I harvested my broccoli at 14 days and it was great. And there you have it, guys. That is my seed haul from Rise. I'm going to get started planting all of these. And if you're looking for different things that you can grow in your Rise garden, especially in the ones where you have less space, you're gonna check out this video where I grew a whole bunch of dwarf varieties that grew absolutely amazing and gave me such a variety of food.